Hello friends, welcome to Total Recap. Today we are going to explain a movie named Sanam Teri Kasam, released in 2016, so sit with some popcorns and enjoy this love/romance movie. This is the story of Inder and Saru. Saru's full name is Sarasvati, and she belongs to a very traditional family. Saru's father is very strict, and he wants to get his elder daughter Saru married before his younger daughter Kaveri. However, Saru is a very introverted girl, and her dressing sense is not very special. That's why no guy likes her. Meanwhile, Inder, who lives in the same apartment complex, has left his lawyer father and is now living with his girlfriend. At the beginning of the movie, Saru and her father, Jairam, are leaving for work. But on the way, Inder and his girlfriend Ruby are kissing each other. Seeing this, Jairam gets very angry and complains to the society secretary about Inder. Currently, Saru works at the central library in a city, where her crush Abhimanyu came to return a book and ask for assistance. In fact, the company where he works has organized a small party for children, but the man who was supposed to play the role of a bear for the kids fell ill. So, Abhimanyu asks Saru to step in and play the role of a bear. Now, since Saru has a crush on Abhimanyu, she agrees to take on the role. However, Abhimanyu's friends at the party make fun of Saru a lot. Afterward, Saru leaves the party with her costume. But in the elevator, she meets Inder, and for the first time, they strike up a conversation when the elevator breaks down, and Inder helps Saru take off her Eskimo suit. Afterward, they meet for the second time at the central library because Inder had taken a membership there, and Saru was working there. Here, Inder requests his first book recommendation from Saru, saying, "What should someone read like when someone get out of jail after 8 years?" Afterward, Saru recommends The Catcher in the Rye to Inder. Although Abhimanyu might not have liked Saru, she continued to give Abhimanyu the green flag. After that, we see that Inder started coming to the library regularly, leaving a note for Saru with every book, but Saru never found out about those notes. In actuality, now Inder was starting to like Saru, so he had also left his girlfriend. On the other hand, Saru's father wanted a boy for Saru who had passed out from IIT and IIM. After this, Saru's parents had gone out of town for some important work for a few days. On the other hand, Saru's sister Kaveri's boyfriend, Sanjay, had found a boy named Arun for Saru. Sanjay had already taken permission from Saru's father, Jairam, for this. But when Arun sees Saru, he doesn't like her at all. Because of this, Kaveri has an argument with her boyfriend because he wanted them to get married in the next month so that he could settle in a European country with Kaveri. If their marriage doesn't happen within a month, he will break off this relationship and marry another girl. After talking to Sanjay, Kaveri gets very angry. After that, Saru promises her that she will find some boy for herself in the next few days. Now, as an audience, we learn that Inder's girlfriend Ruby is a stylist, and Saru wanted to make an appointment with her for a makeover, but she would have to wait for 3 months. Afterward, Saru goes to ask Inder for help, and it was 4 o'clock in the morning at that time so that no one would see her going to Inder's house. However, just when Saru is talking to Inder, Inder's girlfriend Ruby shows up to patch things up with him, and Saru and Inder are seen together so early in the morning, leading to a big misunderstanding. Because of this, she has another argument with Inder, and in anger, she calls Saru a frump ant and throws a beer bottle at her before leaving. However, Inder saves Saru, but after the beer bottle hits the wall, some pieces of glass hit his back. After this, Saru asks Inder to go to the hospital, but Inder gets medicine from a local medical store instead and, while leaving the society, they are noticed by the society's security guard. Afterward, they both return to their room with some medicines. Saru is applying medicine on Inder's injury when Saru's parents return from their work the same day, and the society security guard and some people tell them that their daughter has been roaming with Inder late at night. After this, when Saru's father sees Saru with Indra on the bed, he misunderstands the situation entirely. He slaps Saru hard because he doesn't like Inder at all. After this, the people from the society get even more upset with Jairam. Seeing all this, Saru's father kicks his daughter out of the house. Afterward, Saru leaves Inder's room and goes to her work, where she tries to find her home by calling many people, but she doesn't find it. However, Inder finds a home for her within a few hours. One day, Inder and Saru were going to the library together, and here, Inder intentionally hands Saru a book to place in the library. Inside the book, he had placed a note he had written himself, but Saru once again doesn't pay any attention to the note. Here, Saru notices that a man's wallet has fallen out of his pocket and she goes to return it to the man. But Inder was not happy at all with this, and he pushes Saru aside because the man was not just anyone, but Inder's father. When Inder gets home and worries about Saru, he tries calling her, but she doesn't pick up the call. Inder goes to her house, but she's not there. Afterward, Inder tries to find Saru and goes back to the same place where he met her in the morning, but Saru is still sitting there, angry at Inder. Inder tells Saru to come back home, but she says, "You can tell me anything, push me around, I mean, I have no self-respect left, I won't go back to that house again. But when Inder apologizes, she is willing to go with him. They both are sitting in a taxi on their way back home, and here Sarah finds out that the man to whom she returned the wallet is Inder's father, and he is very angry with his father for some reason. But Sarah tells him that if he has made a mistake with his father, he should embrace that mistake and forgive him. But instead, Inder asks Sarah if she has any idea how his father can embrace her and forgive her mistake. So here, Sarah says that her father just wants a boy who has passed out from IIT and IIM, but no boy likes her. Hearing this, Inder takes Sarah to a makeover artist named Robin. After that, Robin gives Sarah a fantastic makeover, and Saraswati completely transforms into new Sarah. Now she and Inder come to her real home, but Sarah is shocked when she realizes that her father has killed his own daughter for himself and is performing her last rites. Despite this, Sarah doesn't give up. Instead, she goes back to work the next day. Everyone is quite surprised to see her, and Abhimanyu is even happier after witnessing Sarah's transformation. He starts liking her and proposes to her for marriage a few days later. However, before saying yes to Abhimanyu, Sarah first asks Inder what she should do. Inder tells her to say yes to him. In reality, Inder was watching Sarah's happiness and was willing to sacrifice his own love for her happiness. Although he is quite angry seeing Sarah with Abhimanyu. A few days later, Inder also finds out that Sarah and Abhimanyu are going to Turkey after their wedding because Sarah had her blood test done for the visa, and in this hotel, Sarah gave her wedding invitation card to Inder only. When Inder is on his way back home with the wedding card, he meets Sarah's father, J. Ram. On the way, Inder invites him to the Sarah's wedding. However, after reading the card, Sarah's father throws it away. Then the day of the wedding arrives, and Sarah goes to the registrar's office. But Abhimanyu didn't show up, and after waiting for a long time, Sarah goes to his house. There, Abhimanyu's father tells Sarah that he doesn't want to marry his son to a girl whose father killed her while she was alive. Upon hearing this, Sarah takes Inder with her to the same resort where Abhimanyu had booked his and Sarah's honeymoon. After that, she spends the entire night with Inder in the same room, but the next morning, Abhimanyu comes to meet her again. Inder gets very angry upon seeing this, and when he reads a message sent by Sarah, in which Sarah had written, "Abhimanyu came to meet me. I don't understand whether to say you sorry, thank you or goodbye." After reading message, Inder smashes his phone. After this, he thinks that there is nothing left for his in this city, so he contemplates leaving for another city. However, on the day he was about to leave, Sarah's mother comes to Inder with an invitation card for her daughter Kaveri's wedding so that he can pass the card on to Sarah. Although Inder and Sarah had no contact anymore, Inder still agrees to deliver the card to Sarah. First, he goes to the same library where she used to work, then he meets Abhimanyu. But he also says that he is no longer in contact with Sarah. Together, he tells Inder that he had come to the resort to meet Sarah on that day, and we had some personal discussions, but since then, I have no idea about Sarah, and she hasn't left any messages for you either. But then Inder finds out from a travel agency where Sarah is. After that, he meets Sarah sitting alone near a Buddhist monastery, and when Inder asks her why she came here without telling him, Sarah doesn't tell him anything. And when Inder asks Sarah to come back home with him, she refuses, but then she faints, and here, Inder sees a cancer hospital ID card hanging around her neck. After that, he takes her to the hospital where Inder discovers that there is a tumor in her brain, and Abhimanyu already knew about it. So now, Inder gives Abhimanyu a strong punch at first, and then Abhimanyu truthfully tells Inder the whole story, saying, when he got her visa test done before applying for the visa, he found out about Sarah's brain tumor from it. And it was only after breaking off the marriage that Abhimanyu also found out about it. He searched for Sarah all night, but he met her in the morning at the resort, where he asked for a second chance from the beginning, but Sarah refused to marry him and promised Abhimanyu not to tell anything to Inder. A few days later, on her sister's wedding day, Sarah had been discharged from the hospital, and on the other hand, Inder had become the decoration guy at Kaveri's wedding, secretly installing cameras. Then, he brings Sarah to a house that had a live broadcast of Kaveri's wedding going on. Here, Inder proposes to Sarah to marry him. However, Sarah declines because she knew that she didn't have much time left to live. After some time, Sarah's health deteriorates again, and Inder brings her back to the hospital. After leaving the hospital, Inder drinks a lot of alcohol and goes to Sarah's house. He tells her father to stop thinking she's dead and to stop hanging garland on her photo. The next morning, due to complaints from many people in the society, Inspector Hari arrests Inder and takes him to the police station. On the other hand, Sarah is discharged from the hospital and waits eagerly for Inder. But after that, she goes to the library to return a book. There, she sees the same book she had recommended to Inder first. In the book, she finds a message written by Inder on a slip. Afterward, she looks at all the other books, realizing that Inder had loved her deeply from the beginning. On the other side, Inder runs away from the police station to meet Sarah. But because many police officers were chasing him, he gets caught. However, after Inspector Hari makes a lot of requests, he first takes him to the hospital to meet Saru, where Saru is not present. Then, Saru meets Inder in the library. There, she says to Inder, "If you loved me, why did you give permission to Abhimanyu to marry me?" Along with this, she proposes to Inder for marriage. Before the wedding, Saru tells Inder that when she passes away, he shouldn't hang a garland on her photo but should bury it beneath a beautiful tree of flowers, so that if anyone who has a connection with her comes to visit, they will rain down as flowers upon them. After that, Inder goes back to Saru's house where he sees a garland hanging on her photo once again. After this, he shows her father a gun and says, "From now on, they will not hang a garland on Saru's photo because Saru is going to marry me," and whenever she sees this garland on her photo, she feels very sad. She cries, and to stop her tears, "I can even kill someone and even myself." On the following day, Inder and Saru were supposed to get married at the registrar's office. However, that's when Saru's parents showed up, giving their blessings for the wedding. But just moments after the wedding was completed, Saru fell ill once again. The doctors there said, Saru's condition has deteriorated significantly, and she doesn't have much time left to live. Upon hearing this, Saru's father, Jairam, realized his mistake and felt regret for what he had done in his lifetime. On the other hand, Inder went to meet his father and requested a piece of land under a very old tree in their garden. At this point, Inder's father suspected that Inder might have committed another crime. Subsequently, Indra left in anger, and then he went to the hospital to tell Saru the story behind his reluctance to go to jail. He said, "When I was 13 years old, we had a nanny named Miss Lily at our house, whom I considered like my mother. One day, my uncle entered her room at night, and in self-defense, Miss Lily killed him. I took responsibility for his murder, and my dad, the country's top criminal lawyer, also refused to take my case, so I can never forgive him." Afterwards, Saru tells Inder something: people don't stay together because they forget everything, but they stay together because they forgive. After this, Saru calls Inder to her and tells him to say goodbye. A few moments later, Saru's heartbeat stops, and the scene was quite emotional. We had tears in our eyes, literally. After that, Inder forgives his father, and in the final scene, we see Inder in his garden. He is standing in front of the same tree where he buried Saru, and now he has become a very successful lawyer. He misses Saru a lot. With this, the movie comes to an end. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to watch